Hey!
Yoink! In case you ever wondered where the Lost Articles office is for the Toronto Transit Commission, it's right here at Bay Station. And I'm just going to make my way on up to street level here. Let's not be lazy and take the stairs. And here is Bay Street. And a look to the north, Bay Street terminates a few blocks north of here at Davenport Road. And hello there, it is Wednesday, August 14th. 3:32 p.m. is the time, and the temperature is a rather nice 26 degrees Celsius. And in this one, I'll be walking south down almost all of Bay Street, except for that last stretch to the north I just showed. As I am on my way to meet a fellow YouTuber who's in town, and that would be the one and only Action Kid. He's down at a restaurant at the harborfront, and the plan is to meet down there and then do a live stream together. This is Bloor Street in the Yorkville neighborhood. And from here down to the lake, I think it's about 3.5 kilometers. And there's a lot of high-end retailers in this area. This walk will take us south past both New and Old City Hall and through the financial district, and then through the South Core down to the lake. That's the Manulife Center just across the street. Which is home to the Italy restaurant, and they're opening up a new location over at the Eaton Center where Nordstrom used to be. And that's the 51-story residential tower. There's a pretty neat restaurant, bar, and lounge up top that gives you a great view of the city. It used to be called Panorama. And that was built, or rather it opened back in 1974. And it was at the time the tallest residential tower in the city. Speaking of Action Kid, there's the New Yorker Deli. I say that as he is from New York. If you're for some reason familiar with my channel, but not his, I'll put a link to his down in the description. I believe he's having some dim sum down at the waterfront. And we are heading south down the west side of Bay Street. I've made this walk before in this channel, but it seems I'm usually on the east side of Bay Street. Or should I say Bear Street? As that's what it was originally known as, I think back in the 1800s. Due to a number of bear sightings, believe it or not. And one major street over to the east is Yonge Street. And just off to the west is Victoria College, part of the University of Toronto St. George campus. And a few months ago on a live stream, I stopped off at that Firkin and I had a pretty good wrap and a beer. I have the same Lululemon belt bag that guy has. I usually tuck my dangling zippers in so they don't rattle around like that.
The University of Toronto Athletics.
And the casts are no longer pink. They're gonna have to give that guy a touch-up. A little bit of whimsy down on Bay Street, and there's an interesting story behind that. And I think it might be old age, or maybe the fact that I've had COVID a billion times. I'm just not recalling things like I used to. Often I'll see things on walks and it'll trigger a memory and I'll know the story behind things. I saw that and I'm like, I can't not point the camera at it, but I'm drawing a blank. I know it's modeled after a real either donkey or mule from the UK. I think one that was a clone. A rare sighting, a new-ish second cup. That's a Canadian kind of Starbucks equivalent. That has been dwindling in numbers in recent years. Speaking of remembering things, I think this is where the old Sutton Place Hotel used to be. There is a new Sutton Place Hotel down on King Street West. It was a 33-story hotel that I think dates back to the 1960s. It was closed and gutted around 2015 and reemerged as condos. I remember going to a few corporate events at the old Sutton place. I think there was a bar on the ground floor as well. As we get to Wellesley Street West. And this is the McDonald block on the right. It's a complex of provincial government buildings. I think it houses something in the name of in and around 15 government ministries. There's a large-scale 8-year redevelopment of the complex underway. One thing Bay Street, particularly this stretch, seems to lack is any kind of unique character or identity. It's just a random assortment of buildings that don't particularly look like they belong next to one another. Some parts of the sidewalk are nice and wide and shaded. Some parts are kind of narrow. There's an inconsistent bike lane. The stretch just consists of painted sharrows. No idling. 1 minute limit. Guy just looked at me and started saying something in another language. No thanks, just gonna keep moving. Hopefully when this is done, they get some trees over on this side of the sidewalk. So there's certainly a lot more shade to be had over there. And this is one of those, how do you say it, streets? Grosvenor Street. Not Grosvenor. Most people say Grosvenor or Grosvenor.
Yeah, but I don't know for sure.
On the right is an old General Motors car dealership that is now serving as a Nando's Chicken. D-Spot.
All the way long. Why does the girl have an opposite? Who cares? Make everything all the way mine, and then set
That was the guy who was speaking to me earlier. He switched over to English now, but he didn't seem to pause for the ambulance. College Street coming up. There's College Park just over there. There he goes. There's a 506 Carlton. And the sidewalk is reconfigured here due to construction. There should be a separated and protected bike lane as well. But this is the city of never-ending construction. And fun fact, between College and Queen Street, Bay Street was known as Turali Street. I think that was until 1922. As we walk by our friend, taking a break. Go Bolt. Logistics simplified. Logistics simplified. Action Kid took his scooter down to the harborfront, or rather my scooter, and he locked it up. He brought his own scooter. It was quite nice, and I recommended not locking that up for an extended period of time downtown. Those sorts of things tend to disappear rather quickly in this city. Of scooters. And this is Gerrard Street West coming up. You can see the financial district off in the distance. All right, our friend makes another appearance. There's the Chelsea Hotel over there. just on the right is part of Sick Kids Hospital.
So there is no appeal. They didn't file it at all.
As we approach Elm Street. On the corner there used to be an old hotel. And just to the east of here in Elm Street is my favorite restaurant in the city.
And the doorway is what I kind of.
Barbarian Steakhouse. And here's a somewhat rare downtown surface parking lot. That has somehow survived all this development and redevelopment against the odds until now. And this is the old coach terminal.
There's some.
A beautiful building on the exterior. Done in the Art Deco style that dates back to 1931. Kind of a dump on the inside. But several years ago, a new terminal was opened near Union Station on Bay Street, just south of Front. And over there is a Red Lobster, as well as an Uncle Tetsu's Japanese cheesecake shop. And they used to be located right here. Back when it opened, there was always a pretty big line. There's the Eaton Center. And this is a stretch known as Little Tokyo. And you'll find Dundas Square and the intersection of Yonge and Dundas just off in that direction.
I think he's like the only one left, I think.
It's a Marriott hotel. There's another Marriott connected to the Sky Dome where you can watch a baseball game if you time your stay correctly. From your suite, of course. I think it's the only major stadium in North America where you can do that. And it is the backside of New City Hall. We call it New City Hall, but it dates back to the 1960s. (1965) to be exact. So we'll briefly swing past Nathan Phillips Square.
Okay, with that thing that you read, I was trying to understand it. So that means it's done payment today. Oh, so it should get
And you could head over into the Eaton Center along that street right there.
So I was like, oh, I finally get the motion.
There is a rooftop garden right there. Not really the roof of the City Hall, but a few floors up that has been closed for several years, unfortunately. Back when I used to work in the financial district, I come here with some coworkers at lunchtime, grab food at a food truck, just chill in the square. You can see the second iteration of the Toronto sign, which I don't think is as good as the first version. They changed the lettering a little bit, the font. I guess this one's grown on me, but I thought the first sign had a bit more character and flair to it. There's someone probably vlogging with their camera on a selfie stick. Guy was fishing. There is Old City Hall. That served as City Hall between 1899 and 1966. A new City Hall opened. A lot of people playing chess. All the tables are spoken for. And I ate from this food stand on a live stream last week. There's a streetcar replacement bus. It is 4 p.m. I told Action Kid I might be there around 4:15. But given the TTC was taking its sweet ass time, might be a little bit after that. We are now in the financial district. We're underneath these sidewalks and buildings in underground city known as the Pathworks. On days like this, there's generally more people at street level. On colder days in the winter or rainy days in the summer, usually most of the people are underground. is Richmond Street.
I don't get a response on this.
It's a one-way street going west, and just south of here in the opposite direction is Adelaide Street. This area is the financial heart of the entire country. It used to be Montreal, but at some point in the 70s, most of the big banks, including the Quebec-based ones, migrated their headquarters to downtown Toronto. That drives me nuts. Get on the street, buddy. Shouldn't be on the sidewalks, period, let alone in a busy area. On the corner here is the St. Regis. That opened up as the Trump Tower Toronto. That was rebranded. I think the building had some financial issues. I've done a walkthrough of the St. Regis Hotel, including checking out one of the rooms. It's kind of a neat property. As we get to Adelaide Street. And the streetcar tracks along here and on Richmond are being prepared to go into use for about 4 years. While the Ontario line is constructed along Queen Street just north of here. That's why the streetcar is closed along that stretch.
Yes, it is.
And on the right, in its last year as the tallest building in the country, is First Canadian Place. That's where I used to work. As a kid, I was always kind of obsessed with skyscrapers, and this was my second favorite one in the city. So I was kind of stoked to land a job interview in a company there over the 50th floor, and I kind of spent the whole job interview just staring out the window. And somehow I got the job. I was there for 5 years. I absolutely loved working there. And in this area, I'd often sneak out for an extended lunch and make a walking video for the channel. Let's look up at First Canadian Place. the iconic Mies van der Rohe designed TD Center. That's Commerce Court West. Commerce Court North, the Art Deco skyscraper towards the right of the shot, and Scotia Plaza at the very top of the shot. That would be my favorite skyscraper in the city. I always used to get goosebumps when I was a kid in this area, just cranking my head up, looking at these monster buildings. Back then, Toronto had an impressive skyline, but you could make the case for a number of other cities in North America to be the third best. I would say it was easily New York, then Chicago. Toronto has grown by leaps and bounds more than any other city, at least in North America since then, and its skyline has grown exponentially. And maybe not aesthetically it surpassed Chicago, but it's got more high-rises now, and there's far more under construction here than anywhere else. For my money, it's the second best skyline on the continent, although I wouldn't argue you if you had Chicago ahead of it. I think there's no question who's number one.
Yes.
This is Wellington Street. There's RBC Plaza with actual gold infused into the glass. Brookfield Place across the street. There is a good crowd of people up ahead. I imagine a lot of people are heading to Union Station, the busiest commuter station in the entire country. I think most people would be making their way to a GO train, if I had to guess. And this is Front Street West coming up. Be right across the street from Union. That's Union Station in the center of the shop. See a tower, of course, lurking behind it. The Royal York on the right. Let me just glance at my phone, see if I have any WhatsApps from you-know-who. No, I do not. Hopefully he's enjoying his dim sum. From the financial district to an area known as the South Core.
I moved the furniture, rearranged everything, got everything where it was.
As we head underneath the rail corridor that serves Union Station. Union Station is connected to the Scotiabank Arena, formerly the Air Canada Centre, which was built to be home of the Toronto Raptors. The Maple Leafs in the mid to late 90s were going to go it on their own and open up new Maple Leaf Gardens. And I believe that arena was planned to be built over top the rail corridor. But both organizations ended up coming underneath a common ownership group, today known as MLSE. And the already under construction Air Canada Centre at the time was adapted a little bit more for hockey. Well, it's kind of interesting in such a hockey crazy town. Our hockey arena began life, at least while it was under construction, as primarily a basketball facility. But I'm sure there was a gamble at the time that the Leafs just might end up being co-tenants. That's built in, or using the facade of an old Canada Post facility. And I mentioned the bus terminal moved south, down from College, or rather Dundas and Bay. You can find that located just over there now. They merged the GO bus operations with various coach lines. And if there's a sporting event or a big event going on in the city, that wreaks havoc with the bus scheduling, because this whole area just becomes a logjam of traffic. There's a Flixbus there, probably trying to get onto the highway where it'll sit in gridlock forever. This is Lakeshore Boulevard. We're about to pass underneath the rotting Gardner Expressway.
Already lately.
A highway that should have been buried a long, long time ago. And it's almost a sure thing that there's going to be vehicles blocking the crossing here when we get the crossing light. Action Kid was commenting how bad the driving was once he crossed the border coming into Toronto. And I only rent cars these days, but I don't know what's going on, but the standard of driving in this province seems to have diminished considerably. And at just about every major intersection in the city, when there's any amount of traffic at all going on, you'll often find vehicles blocking the way. They enter the intersection unable to clear it, then the lights will change and they'll get stuck in the middle. That's unfortunate. That person seems to be having some mechanical issues. Their hood is up. Even that Flixbus might be stuck in the intersection here. Ain't nobody going north or south. And I guess that bus driver's thinking, if I don't go now, I'm never going to have room to go, because I'm always going to be unable to clear the intersection. What is the answer? People don't want to hear it, but it is congestion pricing. Works in cities like London, and I think it would work wonders here. Of course, we'd have to properly fund the TTC. for people to be more confident in taking transit, as well as making the bicycle infrastructure safer. If I was a gambling person, I'd bet nearly every single light cycle this happens here. It's kind of a miracle we haven't heard a chorus of horn honking as that Flixbus holds anyone and everyone up in a car trying to go south.
Someone getting a shit. Someone either missing the
I
cutoff.
have a bit more sympathy for a bus driver who is facing an impossible situation. If you're in a car, just wait for it to be clear. Also, that bus is moving a lot more people than 2 or 3 cars would in the same space. There's the old Harbor Commission building, home to the Harbor 60 Steakhouse. And what's interesting is south of Front Street, much of this did not exist. This would have been water walking through. Between 1918 and 1938, the shoreline was extended considerably south. A number of piers were lost and covered up. So this is mostly infill we're walking on as we cross Harbor Street. I think the bike lanes appeared on Harbor Street around 2018. Just south of here is the Jack Layton Ferry Terminal. Where I think a number of these people are heading.
I mean, not
That's Harbor Square Park across the street. That'll lead you down to the lake, but we have made it. To a street spelt Q-U-A-Y, Quay, but it's pronounced Key, Queens Key West.
We're running, we're running, we're running, and we're running, and we're running, Don't run!
I think they would have made it if they just walked briskly like I am.
Oh, you taking you an hour more. We're gonna get run over. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, not yeah.
But ta-da! Most of Bay Street, all 3.5 kilometers or so of it, south of Bloor. I've got to head over to Harborfront. Let me just message Action Kid that I'm almost there. There's the streetcar emerging from the Queens Quay station. He just messaged he is near Cold Beans. I do not know what that is. Let's look that up on Google Maps. Oh, he sent me a picture. I think I know where that is.
So when people go to school in Canada,
So it would be quicker if I just went straight there, but I think we should maybe show off the lake before I end the video. So let's make a left here at Harborfront. This is the foot of York Street. Get your beaver tail there.
The first time I tried it was.
and it's kind of very
Whenever someone's playing on top of a background track like that, I kind of hope that they're off key a little bit or out of tune. That will hopefully evade the YouTube copyright system. Otherwise, you might be wondering what I'm talking about because you won't be able to hear that saxophone. So I'll have to have muted the music. I think AK at a restaurant in here. Stayed at this place during the pandemic. What an absolutely knockout of a day. Beautiful summer weather, perhaps a bit hot. The Kahama tall ship must be out at sea, or at lake, you could say. There's a look over at the islands. think I get to walk for at least a few more hours after this. So he should be just south of here, on the other side of this really disappointing public plaza they built. This replaced where a downtown winter ice rink was. Well, of course it would be downtown. All these towers in the foreground here are part of the South Core. Well, most of them blocking the view of the financial district. Oh, I think he's at the waterfront now. Let's see if I can identify. He sent me a picture of him by the water. Oh, there he is. We have completed our mission. It's the Ken Continuum, everyone.
Yeah. Hey, people. We found someone.
How was lunch?
It was excellent.
Where did you eat?
The Pearl Harborfront Chinese restaurant.
Will there be an AK extra video on it?
Oh, you bet.
All right, well, I am already sweating my balls off here from that walk, and we're about to do a live stream pretty soon. You'll be able to find that in the channel, and don't forget to check out Action Kid's channel for a lot of adventures through this beautiful city.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, check out the YouTubes, or you may face the Walking Man Dude.
The wrath of the Walking Man Dude. But whatever you do, do not subscribe to that Ken Continuum guy. Just kidding. But I hope you enjoyed this one, starting at Bay and Bloor, walking south 3.5 kilometers through a very busy financial district. There was a lot of people out on the street, so I was a little surprised given, well, I guess it's just about the afternoon rush hour, down to the waterfront, and mission accomplished. We found Action Kid. So I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below, and if you wish to support what I do here on YouTube, there's links to my Patreon and YouTube channel membership down in the description. I've got an Instagram account I don't really update at Johnny Strides, and there is a super thanks button appearing down below if you wish to be a super awesome person. But anyways, we'll let Action Kid sign this one off.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
It's not the right Y word.
Hey. Yoink.
There we go.
That's a bit interesting there.
Yeah. Do you want to find a place under shade for a minute?
Yeah, I was sitting under the trees.
I'm like, whew. You look like you're dressed.
Yeah.